Hello, everyone, and welcome to my 200th video on YouTube. I'm Marilyn, sometimes called Maya, sometimes called the Baby Boomer Booktuber. And I wanted to, first of all, thank everyone who has been with me since the beginning, or even who has stopped by. My new subscribers, all 5 of them this month. Welcome. Today, to celebrate, I want to do an unhaul. And I'm a little nervous about doing it because I'm not the most organized person in the world, and I only can talk so fast. And I've been watching some unhaul videos where people, with the editing and computer savvy, they really go through it fast. But let's see how this goes, okay? It's Jane Austen July, and I haven't even come out with my Jane Austen TBR, if there's going to be one, but I am going to talk about Jane Austen toward the end of the month. But I want to start my video by unhauling some Jane Austen for reasons. Okay, the first one I talked about how I hated this book, everything about it. It's called Set in the Silver Sea. It's a retelling of one of her books, Sandition, finished. So it's set in the Silver Sea by Jane Austen and a gentleman. Now there's another retelling, Jane Austen and a lady, that is supposed to be better than this. But beside hating the way this book is, the way it looks, it is, I don't know if you can see this, but it's just words, no paragraphs, no chapters. I hate when the chapters start in the middle. So the formatting is terrible. The font is so small. This is going. It is going. The other book of a Jane Austen July is Northanger Abbey. Same reason. I bought this new, and I read it in a different format, but it's the same thing. It's very small font, chapters beginning in the middle of the page. Hate that. And just people who want to make a buck by, printing books. If you're going to make a buck printing books, do it better so that, they're worth buying new. Though I didn't buy this one new. And the third one is the Jane Austen Marriage Manual. I just didn't like it. So it's not anything about the book. The book is well. I just didn't like the book. So that's the Jane Austen part of my unhaul. And then we're going to come to books that I didn't like. I didn't even really pick them up and read them. One is a dirty book. I mean, it's actually dirty. And I tried to clean it up, but it's just, no matter what I did to it, it looks like it was either laid out in the sun in Hawaii or just really nasty and dirty. But the book I want to get in a different form, in a better format. And it's the #1 New York Times bestseller, winner of the Carnegie Medal, Ruta Sepetys, Salt of the Sea. And it says in the bottom, those who are gone are not necessarily lost. And it's about the forgotten tragedy that was 6 times deadlier than the Titanic. And Winter 45, 4 refugees, 4 secrets. Each was born of a different homeland, each one hunted and haunted by tragedy, lies, and war. As thousands desperately flock to the coast, in the midst of a Soviet advance, 4 paths converge, vying for passage aboard the Wilhelm Gustave, a ship that promises safety and freedom, but not all promises are kept. Now, I think I know this might be historical fiction, if I'm correctly, and this author does a lot of history and young adult or new adult kind of books. And I really liked a few of her books. But yeah, so this is about I'm thinking the ship that was turned away by the U.S. government and what happened after that. But it has characters that the author made up, so that's why it's fiction. But it's based on a true story. Okay, so that's Salt of the Sea. The other one that's going, this one I might just throw in the garbage, by the way. I don't think I even want, even though I cleaned it up, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll put it in a little, I'll clean it up more and put it in a little bookshelf thing that we have at the library. This one I got at the free shelf at the library, and it's not in good condition, but also it's a ripoff of Helter Skelter, and this is called Skelter, a novel. And, you know, it's by, maybe I shouldn't even say who's by, but I will. Michael R. Perry, author of The Stranger Returns. So 25 years ago, Charles Manson began his campaign of terror. Now his legacy, don't know what that means, but so he starts out trying to, you know, put Charles Manson, you know, as a hook to buy the book. And the summer of 69, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, laid back 28-year-old Trumbo Walsh makes a startling discovery when his father dies. So I don't like, I think this was really a ripoff of Helter Skelter, which I really, was a fascinating book by Vincent Bugliosi, by the way. Though I think there was some, you know, mistakes in the book or stuff left out, but still well written. And this is trash, basically trash. So it's going. So I have a lot of categories, and one of them is an unusual category of why I'm giving away the book. But these are books that I hated. Maybe hate is a pretty strong word. Disliked intensely. And people are very careful about saying they hated a book. But I hated Tangerine by Christine Mangan. And this is a very beloved book on BookTube. And I'm not going to say exactly why. I don't even remember why, but I remember feeling that I finished it and I didn't like it. So what is it about? The last person Alice Shipley expected to see since arriving in Tangier with her new husband was Lucy Mason. After the accident at Bennington, that's a college in Vermont, the two friends, once inseparable roommates, haven't spoken in over a year. But here was Lucy trying to return to their old rhythms. Perhaps Alice should be glad for a friendly face. She had not adjusted to life in Morocco, too afraid to venture out into the bustling medinas and oppressive heat. Lucy, always fearless and independent, helps Alice to explore the country. I remember what I didn't like I didn't like the writing. And I thought the writing was either over-explained or it was overwritten. It was the writing that I really disliked about this book. It wasn't the premise so much. But if you liked it, you know, this is just my opinion, of course, because it's my channel. And the next book is Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James, who writes wonderful mysteries. But in this retelling, it was very boring and didn't make sense. I didn't like it. And a lot of people have given this bad reviews on BookTube, but some people like it. And this one was a movie that I think was better than the book. It's Julie and Julia, My Year of Cooking Dangerously by Julie Powell. And this book, also I didn't like it's a memoir about her and Julia Child. She does, which I think, you know, a lot of memoir writers do, is they have like a hook. You know, she's going to cook just like Julia Child for 1 year, but in a small kitchen. I think that's what it is. It says, laugh out loud funny, a really good book. Nearly 30 and trapped in a dead-end secretarial job, Julie Powell resolved to reclaim her life by cooking in the span of a single year every one of the 524 recipes in Julia Child's legendary Mastering the Art of French Cooking. So you get the idea, and I just didn't like her authorial voice, or her voice. I didn't like her voice, and when I don't like a memoirist's voice, I can't go on with the book, even though the premise might be good. But I heard the movie is better. So if you've seen the movie or read the book, let me know. The next book I really hated was because I bought it new. Then not only was it a ripoff, but I saw it in the library for free, and I paid full price for this. And this is called How Not to Die by Michael Greger, MD, with Gene Stone. Now, now Michael Greger has a website, and the website, I'm trying to think of what the website is called. Yeah, it doesn't say. Oh, here's his website, nutritionfacts.org. Now, after I read this, I went on nutritionfacts.org. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. You don't have to buy this book. So just because I got mad at that, I'm giving it away. So yeah, I don't want it. So that's the books that I can say I really disliked or disliked intensely. But we're going to get to a new category now. Next are books that I liked, but I don't like the format, and I want to get another book that's a better format in that book. And this is The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Love this book so much. But yeah, I bought this used, and I had a buddy read of it, and just loved the book. I loved Edith Wharton's writing. I loved the story of old New York and how, because I'm from New York, and how things were different then. I loved everything about this book. So I would like to have a nice copy of it. Next is A Separate Piece by John Knowles. Now, this is a little different because I couldn't get into this book at first, but everyone says this is a wonderful book. And I think what's keeping me is that it's all yellowed and not very pleasant to read. So I'm going to try to get this in a different copy. Everyone that I've spoken to really likes this book. It's Jean was a lonely, introverted intellectual. Phineas was a handsome, taunting, daredevil athlete. What happened between them in school one summer during the early years of World War II is the subject of A Separate Piece. So I have no idea what really this is about because, like I said, I couldn't get into it, but I do want to read it in a better copy. The next book is a series that I really like this book, but it is also very, very old. It's a series, and it's I'll Be Leaving You Always by Sandra Scopetone. For lesbian PI Lauren Lorano, murder gets personal. Her writing is more akin to the work of Armstead Maupin than Sue Grafton. So I don't know who that is. So if you know, let me know in the comments below. Yet fans of both will likely become faithful followers. So yeah, I like that it's a lesbian mystery, but I want to read it in a better copy. The next book is Aesop's Fables, and this is a good copy, but I think I like it so much that I want, and it has some illustrations, but I think I would like a different copy of this book and let someone else take this book because it's a nice copy. But I loved fairy tales and fables so much when I was young that this meant a lot to me, and I think I want to buy a copy that has maybe more explanations or even bigger illustrations. So that's Aesop's Fables. The next book is another buddy read that I had, and it's Howard's End by E.M. Forster. And E.M. Forster is becoming a favorite of mine, and I want to get a better copy. I think this was a used copy, but I loved it, and I want to get all of his books in nice copies. So yeah, Howard's End, if you haven't read it, yeah, it says, what makes this masterpiece a pure delight is for contemporary readers is its clear, vibrant portrait of life in an Edwardian village and the wonderful characters who inhabit the charming and country house in Hertfordshire called Howard's End. And it has romantic aspects in it, but it's so well written. It's so wonderful. It's so forward thinking about women's rights and classes in England for the time. And I think this was written in Edwardian time. So there was changes going on. So Howard's End, great. The next book is Shakespeare Othello. And yeah, it's pretty beat up or yellow. And I think I need, for Shakespeare, I would like to have more explanation. And because, yeah, I don't know if I'm giving this away or not. Because I think Othello is one of Shakespeare's most interesting characters. So, and King Lear. I saw that play when I was 13, and it grabbed me. I remember that. I saw it at the Stratford Theater in Connecticut. See, I love Shakespeare. I love me some Shakespeare, but I might get a different copy. And the other one is, I love this book. It's The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. And, you know, this started her career. And it's told in a series of vignettes, stunning for their eloquence. The House on Mango Street, the story of Esperanza Cordero, a young girl growing up in the Hispanic quarter of Chicago. And it really reminds me a little bit of my growing up in the projects in the 50s. And I think she's younger than me, so she was brought up in the 60s, I think. But it's sort of like a young adult, even a middle grade. But yet it's so interesting for adults as well. So that's my next category, and I'll come back with the next category in a second. The next category is books that I like, read, but don't want to keep for one reason or another. And I love this book, Ruth Rendell, and but I don't think I want to keep it. Or else maybe I want to get another different copy of this, because this is an old library copy. It's one of my favorite books, so, of Ruth Rendell. And yeah, I don't like the library copies too much. So either I'm going to not get it again, or I'll get a different copy. The next one is a book that I read before I went to Japan. And I was a teacher in Japan for 3 years. And it's You Gotta Have Wa by Robert Whiting. And it's about baseball, but it's more about the Japanese culture. And it's, if you like baseball and you want to know more about the Japanese culture, yeah, read this book. Yeah, so it's far more than a sports book. What you read is applicable to almost every other dimension of American-Japanese relationships. So wa is a Japanese term meaning unity and team spirit. Everyone playing baseball in Japan must have it. If Americans play baseball, the Japanese work it. Injured pitchers are urged to pitch through the pain. Playing without rigorous pregame practice is unthinkable. The tie scores are encouraged. That way nobody loses face. So you get the idea. It's how Japanese culture takes something that's American or a different nationality and makes it its own. And, you know, it brought back a lot of memories of when I was living in Japan, because I lived in the Kobe area, so that's Hanshin area. So the group, the baseball, and I know nothing about baseball, so, but whenever I would come and I would say, Hanshin Tigers, go, 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 and everybody would laugh, because that every team has their own song, has their own fans, and that was always a good opener for my English lessons. But I think, so, you know, I'm going to let somebody else enjoy this book, because I don't have room. Okay, so that's the end. Oh, I have one more. And this is by Louise L. Hay, Meditations to Heal Your Life. I've read it so many times that I want to give someone else a chance to read it. So that's that category. And I'll be back with the next category. The next category I decided to put all together, and that's books that are out of my comfort zone, or books that I tried to read because they were popular, but they weren't working for me. So the first book is Simon Tolkien's The King of Diamonds, and one of the best mysteries of the year. And I tried this so many times because, Tolkien, and I just couldn't get into it. So he's the grandson of Simon Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, which I haven't read yet. I know I should really read that book or see the movies. But it says that it's compulsively readable. I don't know about that because I couldn't read it. Crafted with cunning and imbued with menace, The King of Diamonds adds luster to Tolkien's growing reputation as a brilliant star in the thriller community. What is it about? In 1960, it's 1960, and David Swain is 2 years into his life sentence for murdering the lover of his ex-girlfriend. Let me show you the cover. Katya. In the dead of night, David escapes, and Katya is found murdered. Inspector Trave of the Oxford Police heads the manhunt for David. Trave's suspicions lead him to Katya's uncle, Titus Osman, a rich diamond dealer, and his sinister brother-in-law, Franz Klaas, who will go to any lengths to conceal his past connection to the Nazis. So it's kind of complicated, and it has that kind of thriller that's kind of spy, and that's not really my thing. But I decided to give up on this book. The next book, I don't even know why I bought, and I don't even really know what it's about. I think it's erotica, but maybe mild erotica. So if you ever heard of this, Zane, I think that's the author. I bought this, and it's called Addicted. Yeah, I guess I didn't know that it was erotica. It says a woman's sexual obsession will be her downfall or her liberation. And already, I think I bought this because the author is African American and her character is African American. So I wanted to have more diversity in my reading, but yeah, I'm not much for erotica. So yeah, if you want this book, if you're into this, just send me a message on my Gmail account, and I will send you this book because, yeah, maybe I'm ashamed to bring it to the bookstore. Just kidding. Okay, the next book I read and tried to give away, but nobody wanted it. It was Exquisite by Sarah Stovall, and I talked about this in one of my videos. And it was a pretty good thriller about a woman's obsession with another woman who's a writer. So, yeah, let me know if you've read this. It's really in good condition. So, yeah, let me know. And the next one is a darling on BookTube. It's H is for Hawk. And I tried to read it, but it just wasn't for me. It's by Helen McDonald. And it won all kinds of awards. Winner of the Samuel Johnson Prize, the Costa Book of the Year for 2014, New York Times bestseller. I'm ashamed, but I couldn't get into it. Yeah. I wasn't that interested in hawks, and I kind of found, or falconers, and the fact that the raptor's fierce essence, the raptor is a kind of hawk, and to try to tame a raptor wasn't really my bag, as we said in the 60s. So I just didn't want to hear, I heard it's beautiful and tender, but yeah, not for me. And the next three, and I misplaced the third one, is The Hornet's Nest book by Stieg Larsson. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, and I have the other one somewhere. And I tried to read the first one, and I'm like 100 page, 50, 60 pages in. I have no idea what's going on. It's not a good thing. It could be me. It could be me. Because I didn't see the movie either. But yeah, these are going. These are going. So down to the next and last category. You know, the last category might be controversial among booktubers, but for me, it's a thing. If I find out that an author is behaving badly, or if he's stealing someone's work, or let's see, what is the other one? Yeah, those are the two. Or they're not nice people. They're not kind to everyone. Reminds me of Carol Burnett, who everyone knows is a wonderful comedian. And what everyone said about her is that she treated the top people in the business, show business, the same as she treated people who would be cleaning her room, or everyone she treated the same. She was kind. She is kind. She's still here with us. And when I hear stories about an author who's unkind, I lose interest in the book, even if the writing is wonderful. And that would be, first of all, Donna Leone. And she writes books about Venice, the Guido Brunetti Mystery. Commissario Guido Brunetti Mysteries. And this one is called The Temptation of Forgiveness. And I started reading it and it was pretty good, but then I put it down, and then I was reading a lot of stories about how she was mean to people, and it just turned me off of reading her books. And I know a lot of people love her books. So, some people, it doesn't matter. And you might say, maybe it's not true. But if a lot of people say the same thing, yeah. So I don't think I'm going to read her books anymore. In case you're interested in this book, it's about, it's Venetian. No, what is this about? Let me see. This one. The memorable characters in Venetian drama that have long captivated Donna Leone's many readers are on full display in The Temptation of Forgiveness, the 27th novel in her best-selling mystery series. She doesn't need my help. Surprised, if not dismayed, to discover from his superior that leaks are emanating from the Questana, Commissionario Guido Benetti is surprised more consequentially by the appearance of a friend of his wife's, fearful that her son is using drugs, and hopeful Brunetti can somehow intervene. Yeah, so I'm just going to let this one go. The second book is, I guess, more known to be controversial, and that's The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. And the reason that he's controversial is that he was supposedly has stolen the story from somebody else. But not only that, I started reading this, and it's about a woman with agoraphobia. And I just didn't like the way she was portrayed as being someone who was drunk all the time, because he needed her not only to be staying at home, being agoraphobic, but also he needed her to be an unreliable narrator. So I thought that was kind of cheap. And also the fact that he stole somebody's work. But despite everything, Gillian Flynn, who I respect, says it's astounding, thrilling, and amazing. So Anna Fox lives alone, a recluse in her New York City home, unable to venture outside. She spends her day drinking wine, maybe too much, watching old movies, recalling happier times, and spying on her neighbors. Yeah, I don't like the way agoraphobia is pictured that way. I'm sure there are some agoraphobics who do those things, but yeah, to have stolen an idea and also have these tropes that I don't like, no, I'm not going to read it. But I have this on Kindle, so if one day I change my mind, I can. I did read a little bit of it and I put it down, but you never know. And the last book is also an author behaving badly, and that's Juno Diaz, who wrote This Is How You Lose Her. And Juno Diaz is a very interesting, he's from the Dominican Republic, and just for that alone, and he's such a good writer. And he wrote a book, and I'm trying to think of what the book was that he wrote, but I'll get back to that in a minute. So why won't I read this? Well, first of all, it's not in good condition, but I stopped reading this when he was accused by many women of behaving badly, sexually harassing these women. And then he's writing a book, This Is How You Lose Her, which might have some semi-autobiographical tones to it. And he turns his remarkable talent to the haunting, impossible power of love, obsessive love, illicit love, fading love, maternal love. On a beach in the Dominican Republic, a doomed relationship flounders. In a New Jersey laundry room, a woman does her lover's washing and thinks about his wife. In Boston, a man buys his love child, his only son, a first baseball bat and glove. At the heart of these stories is the irrepressible, irresistible Junior, a young hardhead whose longing for love is equaled only by his recklessness and by the extraordinary women he loves and loses. So Oprah said it's vulgar, brave, and poetic. So it might be all these things, but yeah, I think I'm going to give it a thumbs down and not read it. So Juno Diaz won the Pulitzer Prize, I think it was 2008, for The Brief, Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, which I didn't read. Don't think I was going to read it, but I don't think I will. He was accused of bullying and unwanted physical harassment of women. And yeah, there's so many other books that I can read without reading books by men who are not respectful to women, or even women who are not kind, and or authors who steal other people's work. So let me know, how do you feel about this? Does it bother you if someone is known not to be a nice person? Would you still read them? I guess, I just get turned off and then I just don't want to read it. It's not that I have a hard and fast rule. I heard that Charles Dickens was not a nice person to his wife, but I still read Oliver Twist, and I still might read other books by him. Though it is keeping me from reading Charles Dickens, to tell you the truth. So maybe it is a fast rule for me. Before I end this video, I also wanted to talk about my future on BookTube. I have some exciting news coming up, probably in my next video, about how I plan to, or not, keep up my BookTube content. This has been a tough year for me. In fact, this past year, I felt, for the first time, I felt myself aging, where like I need more sleep, I have less stamina. Not a lot. I mean, I still have a lot of stamina, but I wanted to know, what else am I interested in? What else can I do with this brief, wondrous life that we're all given in this immense world? Now I'm quoting from a book that I'm reading, An Immense World, about animals. And I have a lot of interests, and I'm thinking about what I want to do. I'm not giving up booktube. I shall not give up booktube, but I want to change things up a bit and yeah, see if I can get more engagement as well, because my engagement has gone really down. I don't know if it's this new setup I have, because I used to have my partner do all the work and film me and edit and everything, and now I'm sort of doing it on my own, and maybe it's not as well, produced. But I want to learn more about doing my own videos, being more independent. That's so important to me as I get older, as well as keeping my independence and keeping my brain power and reading. But yeah, I'll talk more about that next week. And not at the end of the week. I'm probably going to do another video because I am going on vacation, and I have some exciting news about that too. So if you're new, or if you're not, like this video, please like it, give it a thumbs up, and press the notification bell so you'll know when I get a video out. And if you like this video, anything about it, please subscribe. And I'll see you again. And I wish you all health, wealth, and as always, aloha.